Everyone thought the Squid Game was finally over. The lights were turned off, the playground was empty, and the masks were locked away forever. People believed the games were just a scary memory, something that would never come back again. But one quiet night, when the city was sleeping and the streets were silent, a small red symbol suddenly appeared on a phone screen. No sound, no warning, just a single message that changed everything. The game has restarted. At first, no one believed it. They laughed and said it was a joke. But then another phone rang, and another, all with the same message, all with the same red and green symbols. Somewhere far away, a giant screen turned on again, showing familiar shapes and shadows. New doors slowly opened, and soft music began to play, just like before. But this time, something felt different. The games looked brighter, the rules sounded kinder, and the voices promised something new. No one has to get hurt. Still, a strange feeling filled the air. Why would the game return if it was truly over? Who was sending the messages? And why were the players being chosen so carefully? As the first group stepped forward, they noticed something strange. The playground was bigger, the colors were sharper, and hidden deep inside the walls were secrets no one had seen before. A new watcher was waiting, not wearing a mask, not hiding in the shadows, but smiling calmly, as if everything was already planned. Because this time, the biggest danger was not losing a game. It was believing the game was safe. And as the countdown began, one truth became clear: Squid Game was never about winning. It was about choice. The next morning felt normal. Birds were chirping, cars were moving, schools were opening. But for the people who received the message, nothing felt the same anymore. They kept checking their phones, hoping the red symbol would disappear. But it didn't. It stayed there, glowing softly, like it was waiting for them to decide. One boy named Minyi stared at his phone for a long time. He wasn't scared. He was curious. Last time, he had watched the Squid Game only on secret videos and rumors. He thought it was just a story. But now, the invitation was real. It didn't ask for money. It didn't threaten him. It only asked one simple question. Do you want to play? Below it were 2 buttons. Yes. No. Minyi pressed no. Nothing happened. Minutes passed, then hours. He thought that was the end of it. But that night when he was asleep, the phone turned on by itself. The screen changed. Choice noted, you will still be watching. At the same time, in different cities, other players were making choices. Some pressed yes right away. Some waited. Some threw their phones away. But every single one of them was connected now. Soon, black vans began to arrive quietly. No sirens. No noise. The doors opened gently, and friendly voices invited the chosen players inside. This is just a game, the voice said. A safe game. Inside the vans, the seats were soft. The lights were warm. It didn't feel scary at all. Some players even smiled. They talked. They laughed. One girl said, "This feels like a school trip." But Minyi noticed something strange. The windows slowly turned dark. Not black, not covered, just gone. Like the outside world didn't exist anymore. When the vans stopped, the doors opened to a giant place that looked like a colorful playground. Bigger than before, brighter than ever. Pink stairs, yellow walls, blue doors. A calm voice echoed around them. Welcome, players. Everyone clapped. They thought it was a show. Then the voice continued. Season 4 has begun. That's when Minyi understood something important. This wasn't a repeat. This was an upgrade. And upgrades always come with new rules. The players were led into the first game room. It looked happy and fun, like a cartoon world. The floor was soft. The walls were painted with clouds and stars. In the center was a big screen that showed smiling characters. The game was called Color Step. The rules were simple. Step only on the colors shown on the screen. Red, green, blue, yellow, easy. A buzzer rang. The game started. At first, everyone laughed. Players jumped from color to color. When someone made a mistake, nothing bad happened. No alarms, no punishment. This is easy, someone shouted. Minyi didn't move. He watched carefully. He noticed something strange. The screen sometimes showed colors very quickly, too quickly. And when players followed without thinking, the floor under them slowly began to sink, not enough to hurt them, but enough to trap them. The game wasn't about speed. It was about paying attention. Minyi waited. He stepped only when he was sure. Other players copied him. Soon, small groups formed: helpers, thinkers, watchers. After the game ended, the voice returned. "Well played, all players pass." Everyone cheered. But then the voice added, "Next time, not everyone will." In the resting room, players were given food and water. Everything felt fair. Kind, almost too kind. That's when rumors started. Some players said the games were testing teamwork. Others said they were testing obedience. One player whispered, "What if they're testing who questions the rules?" Minyi looked around. Cameras were everywhere. But behind one glass wall, he saw something shocking. A person watching, without a mask. And that person smiled. Minyi couldn't forget that smile. It wasn't mean. It wasn't angry. It was calm, like someone who already knew the ending. The next game was called Trust Circle. Players had to stand in circles and choose one leader. The leader would make decisions for everyone. If the leader made the right choices, the whole group won. If not, the group lost points. No one wanted to lead, except one boy named Hoon. "I'm good at choosing," he said confidently. At first, Hoon did well. He listened. He cared. But slowly, he started making choices alone. He stopped asking. He started enjoying control. Minyi spoke up. "Maybe we should vote," he said. Hoon ignored him. The screen flashed. Group error. Nothing bad happened, but something worse did. The group was split apart. The voice explained. "In Season 4, losing doesn't mean leaving. It means learning alone." That's when Minyi understood the truth. This season wasn't about fear. It was about power. Who deserves it? Who misuses it? And who dares to question it? That night, Minyi found a hidden message on his bed. "You see clearly, keep watching." He didn't know who sent it, but he knew one thing. Someone inside the game wanted it to end. The final day arrived quietly. No music, no bright lights. The players were taken to a room with 2 doors. Door 1, finish the game. Door 2, change the game. The voice spoke for the last time. Season 4 is not about winning. It is about choosing what kind of player you are. If they finished the game, they would get rewards, fame, comfort, everything promised. If they changed the game, no one knew what would happen. Players argued. Some wanted safety, some wanted answers. Minyi stepped forward. "What if the game only exists because we keep playing?" he asked. Silence. Slowly, one by one, players joined him at the green door. Not everyone, but enough. The lights flickered. The smiling watcher stood up. And for the first time, the smile faded. Because the game had one weakness it never planned for. Players who stopped playing. Narrator soft. And that's why Squid Game Season 4 isn't the end. It's the beginning of something bigger. Because the real game is choice. As the lights slowly turn off and the doors quietly close, one thing becomes very clear. Squid Game Season 4 was never just about games. It was never about prizes, points, or winning. It was about people, about choices, about what happens when someone gives you power and asks, "What will you do with it?" The players came in thinking this season would be easier, kinder, safer. The colors were brighter. The rules sounded friendly. The voices promised fairness. But deep inside, the game was testing something much bigger than strength or speed. It was testing the heart and the mind. It was asking who follows without thinking and who dares to ask questions. Some players chose comfort. They wanted to finish the game quickly and take the reward. They believed that if something looks nice, it must be good. Others chose curiosity. They watched carefully. They noticed small details. They felt that something wasn't right, even when everything looked perfect. And then there were players like Minyi, who understood the hardest lesson of all, that sometimes the bravest move is not to win, but to stop playing. Season 4 showed us that danger doesn't always shout. Sometimes it smiles. Sometimes it says, "Trust me." And that is what makes it scary, because the game didn't force anyone. It invited them. It waited for them to say yes. And every yes gave the game more power. But something changed. For the first time, players realized that the game only works if people believe in it. The cameras only matter if someone is watching. The rules only matter if someone follows them. And when players stood together and chose differently, the game began to crack. That final moment, standing between the red door and the green door, wasn't just a choice inside the story. It was a question for all of us watching. Would you choose the easy path, even if it feels wrong? Or would you choose the harder path, even if you don't know what comes next? That is why Squid Game Season 4 feels different. It stays in your mind even after the screen goes dark. It makes you think about real life, about school, about friends, about rules that don't make sense, about moments when everyone else says yes, but your heart says no. And maybe that's the biggest message of all. You don't need to be the strongest to change things. You don't need to be the loudest. You just need to be aware. Because games, real or fake, lose their power when people stop playing blindly. Now here's the real question. If Squid Game Season 4 was real, what would you choose? Would you finish the game? Or would you try to change it? If this story made you think, if it gave you chills, if you love deep theories, suspense, and mind-bending stories like Squid Game, like this video to show support. Subscribe for more Squid Game theories, future seasons, and secret meanings. Comment below and tell me, would you choose the red door or the green door? And don't forget to share this video with a friend who loves Squid Game, because the best discussions happen when we play the game together. The game may end on screen, but the questions stay with us. Squid Game Season 4. The most dangerous game is choice.